The screen flickers. A pale glow in the dark, fingers tracing words etched in time, a name, a date, a sentence that cuts like glass. The clock pulses 2:17 a.m. Its numbers stark against the night. The mind doesn't rest. It replays, not to mend, but to grip tighter. Each scroll, each lingering glance, a reflex, mechanical, unthinking. Each pause, a fragile lie that one more look will unravel the knot of pain. The room is still, but the heart races, tethered to a moment that no longer breathes. Why hold what slices when it yields no truth? The mind whispers, one last read, one final thought, then sleep will come. But the loop only tightens, a coil of promises it cannot keep. It offers answers, but delivers only echoes. The urge to check again, it's not hope, it's a trap. A silent vow to stay bound to what's gone, as if staring into the void could summon it back. Each replay, pain, carves deeper, not in flesh, but in the system's core. Neural pathways harden. The brain learns to chase shame, not clarity. Sleep frays at the edges. The body lies motionless, but the mind is a storm, churning fragments of what was. The cost is invisible, a fog that settles over days, a weight that drags through mornings, a theft of presence so quiet no one notices. The mind believes it's solving, but it's only drowning, sinking into a sea of its own making. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The mind constructs its own prison. No bars, only thoughts that loop without end. It runs across a field with no horizon, chasing shadows that dissolve at dawn, leaving nothing but exhaustion. The cage is not the loss. It's the refusal to release. The trap is not the memory. It's the hand that won't let go. What remains when the loop burns out? The urge to check, to know, to hold, or the silence that falls when nothing is grasped. Look again. The same words stare back, unchanged, unyielding. Look away, and what is left? The weight of what was, or the space where something new could breathe? The pause. It's a blade. It cuts the chain, not with force, but with stillness. Why check again when the screen holds only silence? What moves if you scroll once more? Why hold the breath for a reply that vanished long ago? What shatters if the phone stays dark? Why trace the words when they carve the same wound? What lingers when the need to explain dissolves? Why chase the ghost of someone who chose to fade? What holds when the hands release? Why fear the quiet when it speaks clearer than noise? The mind craves chaos, but what lives in Bafe? Silence? Stillness is enough. Lesson 1. The trap of overthinking. The mind churns. A conversation from weeks past. Words unspoken. A glance that burned. It replays, not to resolve, but to burrow deeper into pain. The clock hums past midnight. Its rhythm a quiet accusation. Thoughts cascade, each heavier, sharper, a blade turned inward. Why did they leave? What went unseen? The questions stack like stones. No answers, only weight. This is overthinking, a reflex cloaked as control, but it's a spiral, a chaos that binds the soul to its own torment. The cost is a shadow. It creeps into the marrow of days. Sleep fractures. The body lies still, but the mind is a restless machine, grinding through loops that lead nowhere. Neural paths deepen. Each thought etches a groove, making rest a distant shore. Anxiety doesn't shout, it whispers. A fog that clouds judgment, dulls presence, steals the clarity that could have been. The mind thinks it's solving, but it's only sinking, trapped in a labyrinth of its own design. The world moves on, but the system stalls, tethered to a moment it can't release. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A mind that chases regret stains itself with distortion, not truth. It weaves a maze, walls of what was, no doors to what is. The trap isn't the thought, it's the refusal to let it pass. The cage isn't the memory, it's the grip that won't loosen. To break free, pause, count 5 breaths, slow, deliberate, the air a tether to now. Feel the inhale, not the story. The urge to replay will surge, a wave that begs to be ridden. Let it crash. Observe the impulse, don't feed it. Write one line. What exists here, in this moment? Not what's gone, not what might have been. This isn't escape, it's disengage. A reset, not a cure. A cut through the noise, not a bandage, but a blade. The loop halts when you refuse to run its course. Pain doesn't mean truth. The pause, a blade that slices through the roar of thought. Lesson 2, clinging to what's gone. A message thread, months old, frozen in time. The words glow faintly, a promise that crumbled long ago. Fingers hover, the urge to scroll, to unearth something new in what's dead. This is clinging, a reflex dressed as loyalty, but it's a chain, binding the mind to loss. The heart quickens, not with hope, but with shame, a quiet accusation. Why can't you let go? The cost is a theft, not of time, but of presence. Each glance back, a moment stolen from now. Sleep fades, the body lies heavy, but the soul carries a weight it doesn't own. Regret grows, not in the act, but in the hours lost, the clarity buried, the life left waiting. The mind grips what's gone, as if holding tighter could rewrite the past. The system falters, a machine stuck in a loop it built, grinding against its own gears. What's gone needs no permission to leave. The Stoics saw this truth. They held nothing that didn't stay freely. A chain isn't love. It's a cage, forged by the hand that refuses to release. The mind that clings constructs its own bars, each one heavier than the last. The loss isn't the trap, it's the refusal to walk away. To override, delete one thread. Not to erase, but to witness. Feel the pull, the fear of emptiness, the ache of finality. Breathe through it. 5 counts. Slow. The air a reminder of what's here. List 3 truths. The quiet, the now, the real. Not what's missing, not what was. Detach isn't betrayal, it's reclaiming what's yours. A system that releases begins to breathe again. The past lingers, only if you carry its weight. Let go isn't weakness. Pain, a tide that rises but leaves no mark when ungripped. Lesson 3, explaining the unseen. The mind drafts, a defense never spoken, words crafted for ears that never asked. Why did they turn away? What was missed? It scripts a case to prove worth, to undo rejection. This is explaining, a reflex cloaked as justice, but it's a leash binding the soul to invisible wounds. The clock hums, sleep waits, but the mind pleads to shadows, a trial with no judge. The cost is silent, but corrosive. Each unspoken word, a drain on clarity. The system churns, energy spent on phantoms, not truth. Anxiety builds, not from the act, but from the belief that worth must be proven. The body lies still, but the mind fights, A courtroom where no verdict comes. Presence erodes. Life blurs. All for a lie that explanation heals. The sole phrase, tethered to a need that's not its own. Epictetus said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." The urge to justify is a leash, pulling the system off its axis. A mind that explains surrenders its ground, trading silence for noise that changes nothing. The trap isn't the rejection, it's the story that demands a defense. To break free, say less. Write the urge. One sentence, then stop. Breathe. 5 counts. Deep. The air a tether to now. Withdraw from the need to be seen. Observe the pull. Let it pass. This isn't defeat. It's silence. A choice to hold your weight. A system that stands, needs no audience. No one owes understanding, nor do you owe proof. You don't owe anything. The silence carries more than any plea. Lesson 4. Chasing false hope. The mind waits. A notification, a call, a flicker of return. It scans the silence, weaves tales of reconciliation, of what might be. This is hope blindly. A reflex dressed as faith, but it's a chain tying the soul to what's not there. The heart races not for truth, but for a lie it aches to believe. Fingers check again. The screen stays cold, unyielding. The cost is subtle, but profound. Each weight, a theft of now. The mind clings to what could be, ignoring what is. Sleep fractures, not from exhaustion, but from a system running on illusion. Anxiety grows, not in the chase, but in the moments lost, the presence buried under dreams that never land. The brain locks, chasing shadows that dissolve when touched, leaving only regret. What's yours stays without force. The Stoic saw, hope isn't the trap. Blindness is. A mind that chases, builds its own chains. Each link forged in the quiet moments it refuses to see. The system begs, but forgets its own weight, its own ground. To override. Step back. List 3 truths. What's here, what's real, what's enough. Breath. 5 counts. Slow. The air a reminder of presence. Observe the urge to wait. Let it pass, like a cloud across a still sky. This isn't surrender, it's clarity. A cut through the fog, not a wish for light. The chase ends when you choose to stand still. The void is where it clears. 90% of regret stems from grasping what was never yours. Lesson 5. Suppressing pain. The chest tightens. A memory rises, sharp, unbidden. The mind pushes it down, buries it beneath tasks, noise, anything but truth. This is suppress, a reflex cloaked as strength, but it's poison seeping into the system's core. The body moves, the smile holds, but the wound festers, unseen, unacknowledged. The cost is chaos, not instant, but relentless. Grief buried doesn't vanish. It leaks into dreams, into anger, into numbness that steals rest. The brain fights, not to heal, but to conceal. Sleep breaks, not from the day, but from a war waged in silence. Clarity fades. Presence slips, all for a lie that pain can be locked away. The system phrase, a machine running on denial, grinding itself to dust. Seneca said, "There is no sorrow. That time does not lessen. A mind that buries, delays the clock, prolonging its own torment. Pain-faced, passes like a storm. Pain hidden becomes the weather, ruling every moment. The trap isn't the hurt, it's the refusal to see it. To override, sit with it. 5 minutes. No escape. No distraction. Breathe. Feel the weight, not the story. Write one truth. What hurts? Here. Now. This isn't weakness. It's witness. A system that sees its wounds begins to clear, not by force, but by presence. The wound speaks only when you listen. Stillness is enough. The mind that faces truth finds rest where others find war. Lesson 6. Avoiding hard truths. The mind flinches. A thought too raw, too sharp. It turns away, scrolls, works, drowns the silence with noise. This is avoid. A reflex dressed as safety, but it's a cage, locking the soul from truth. The body moves forward, but the heart stays tethered, stuck in what it won't face. The world hums, but the system stalls, running from its own reflection. The cost is quiet, but corrosive. Each dodge, a fracture in clarity. Fear festers, not in the truth, but in the flight. Sleep falters. The mind races, not to solve, but to escape. The system loops, chasing distractions that fade like mist, leaving only regret. Presence erodes. Life blurs into a haze, all for a lie that hiding heals. The soul frays, a thread pulled loose, unraveling what could be whole. Epictetus taught, you cannot escape what you must endure. A mind that runs builds its own prison, walls of denial, no doors to freedom. Truth waits, patient, unyielding, a stone in the path you cannot bypass. The trap isn't the truth, it's the refusal to walk toward it. To break the loop, pause. Name one truth. Write it, plain, unadorned. Breath. 5 counts. Deep. The air a tether to now. Sit with it. No turning away, no running. This isn't pain, it's awareness. A system that sees its shadows begins to free itself, not with force, but with stillness. Truth cuts only when you resist its edge. You don't have to react. A man flees loss, only to find it waiting in every mirror he passes. Lesson 7. Reacting to rejection. A door shuts. A message unanswered. A voice gone cold. The mind surges. Words spill. Defenses rise like walls. This is react. A reflex cloaked as power, but it's surrender, handing control to another's choice. The heart pounds, not for justice, but for shame. A quiet accusation. You weren't enough. The cost is instant chaos. Each word sent a piece of clarity lost. Rejection stings, but reaction burns deeper. A fire that consumes the self. Sleep breaks, not from the slight, but from the war it sparks within. The mind spirals not to mend, but to prove. Fighting battles no one sees. Presence fades. Life frays. All for a lie that fighting heals. The system crashes, tethered to a wound it didn't need to reopen. You are not harmed by what others do, but by your response. The Stoics saw a mind that reacts, gives its weight to another. Silence holds more than words ever could. A strength that doesn't beg to be seen. The trap isn't the rejection, it's the story that demands a fight. To override, hold the line. Breathe. 5 counts, slow, the air a tether to ground. Say no thing. Feel the urge. Let it pass like a wave. Observe the sting, not the story it spins. This isn't defeat, it's detachment, a choice to stand unmoved. A system that holds its silence, keeps its power. The wound closes when you stop tearing it open. Silence isn't surrender. The pause carries more weight than any word could bear. Lesson 8. Holding on to shame. The mirror reflects a moment misspoken, a choice that cut. The mind clings, replays the fault, brands it as self. This is shame, a reflex dressed as judgment, but it's a cage, locking the soul in silent punishment. The chest tightens, not for growth, but for a sentence it wrote alone. The world moves, but the system stalls, tethered to a verdict that doesn't exist. The cost is unseen, but heavy. Each loop, a theft of presence. Shame whispers, you are the mistake, not the act. Sleep fractures. The body rests, but the mind stands trial. No judge, no end. Clarity fades, decisions waver, all for a lie that flaws define worth. The soul frays, a thread pulled loose, unraveling what could be whole. Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not think it. A mind that holds shame forges its own chains, each link heavier than the fault itself. The trap isn't the mistake, it's the refusal to release it. The cage isn't the flaw, it's the grip that won't loosen. To override, witness, right the fault. One line, stark, unadorned. Breathe, 5 counts slow. The air a tether to now. Release the story, keep only the lesson. This isn't absolution, it's detachment. A cut through the fog that blinds. A system that sees its shadows, begins to clear, not with force, but with stillness. The weight lifts when you stop carrying its chains. Detachment is a form of respect. Shame. A shadow that fades when you turn from its light. Lesson 9. Escaping emptiness. The room falls quiet. No hum, no chatter. The mind stirs, reaches for a screen, a task, anything to fill the void. This is escape. A reflex cloaked as relief, but it's a burial, hiding the soul in distraction. The heart races, not for joy, but for fear of what stillness might reveal. The world hums, but the system flees, running from its own reflection. The cost is subtle, but profound. Each diversion, a delay of truth. Emptiness isn't the enemy. Running from it is. Sleep falters. The body lies still, but the mind chases shadows to avoid itself. Anxiety grows, not in the quiet, but in the noise it seeks to drown the silence. Presence frays. Life blurs into a haze. All for a lie that fullness comes from filling. The soul starves, not for lack, but for refusal to sit with what is. What need is there to weep over parts of life, when all of it calls for tears? Seneca saw, a mind that flees, finds no rest. The void, it's not a trap, it's a clearing, a space where truth breathes, where the system can reset. The trap isn't the emptiness, it's the fear that drives the run. To override, be here, sit with it. 5 minutes, no sound, no screen, breath. Feel the quiet, not the urge to fill it. Observe the fear, let it pass, like a cloud, across a still sky. This isn't avoidance, it's stillness, a choice to hold ground. A system that stays, begins to see, not with noise, but with clarity. The void speaks only when you stay to listen. Stillness is enough. The quiet is where the noise finds its end. Lesson 10. Denying loss. The heart stumbles. A name, a memory, a door that closed forever. The mind turns away, pretends it didn't happen, buries it beneath routine, beneath motion. This is Denis a reflex cloaked as armor. But it's a crack splitting the system from within. The body moves, but the soul drags, tethered to what it won't name. The world hums, but the system limps, carrying a weight it refuses to see. The cost is silent, but corrosive. Each denial, a fracture in presence. Loss unspoken, festers into numbness, a fog that clouds every step. Sleep falters, not from the day, but from a truth the mind rejects. The brain loops, not to heal but to conceal, building walls where bridges could stand. Clarity blurs, decisions falter, all for a lie that ignoring mends. The soul frays, a thread pulled loose, unraveling what could be whole. Epictetus said, "What need is there to resist what already is?" A mind that denies constructs its own walls, each brick heavier than the loss itself. Loss faced passes like a storm. Loss buried becomes the weather, ruling every moment. The trap isn't the loss. It's the refusal to see it, to override, name it, write one truth, what's gone, plain, unadorned. Breathe, 5 counts, slow, the air a tether to now. Sit with it, no running, no hiding. This isn't surrender. It's awareness, a choice to see the crack and not turn away. A system that names its wounds, begins to clear, not with force, but with presence. The truth lingers only when you let it stay. You don't have to react. 70% of sleepless nights trace to truths left unnamed in the dark. Lesson 11. Pleasing others. The voice hesitates, a word held back, a truth softened to fit another's gaze. The mind bends, shapes itself to their frame, to their light. This is please. A reflex cloaked as peace, but it's surrender, trading self for fleeting approval. The chest tightens, not for connection, but for fear of being unseen, unvalued. The world hums, but the system frays, running on terms that aren't its own. The cost is instant, erosion. Each compromise, a theft of self. The mind trades clarity for nods that fade like mist. Sleep breaks, not from effort, but from a system tethered to others' eyes. Anxiety grows, not in the act, but in the lie that worth needs their verdict. Presence slips, life blurs, all for a lie that pleasing heals. The soul starves, not for lack, but for refusal to stand alone. You have no obligation to be what others expect. The Stoic saw a mind that bends, forges its own chains, each link heavier than the approval it seeks. Approval is a leash, pulling the system off its ground. The trap isn't the gaze, it's the need to be seen. To override, say less, write one truth. What's yours, not theirs. Breath, 5 counts. Deep, the air, a tether to now. Hold the line, no explaining, no justifying. This isn't conflict, it's detachment, a choice to stand without a mirror. A system that holds its ground needs no audience. The weight lifts when you turn from their eyes. You don't owe anything. The silence carries more than their fleeting words. Lesson 12. Fear of silence. The room falls still. No hum, no chatter, no pulse of distraction. The mind recoils, reaches for a screen, a sound, anything but quiet. This is fear. A reflex cloaked as survival, but it's a drowning, submerging the soul in noise. The heart races, not for danger, but for what silence might reveal. The world hums, but the system flees, running from its own reflection in the quiet. The cost is subtle, but profound. Each escape, a theft of clarity. The mind flees, not to find, but to hide. Sleep falters. The body lies still, but the system runs, chasing distraction to avoid itself. Anxiety grows, not in the quiet, but in the noise it seeks to drown the silence. Presence frays, life blurs into a haze, all for a lie that noise saves. The soul starves, not for lack, but for refusal to sit with what is. Seneca said, "Why fear what heals, when silence is the cure? A mind that runs builds its own cage, walls of noise, no doors to truth." Silence isn't empty. It's a clearing, a space where the system can breathe. The trap isn't the quiet. It's the fear that drives the run. To override, stay still. 5 minutes, no sound, no screen, no motion. Breathe. Feel the urge, not the story. It spins. Observe the fear. Let it pass, like a cloud, across a still sky. This isn't avoidance. It's witness. A choice to hold ground. A system that stays, begins to see. Not with noise, but with clarity. The quiet speaks. Only when you stay to listen. Stillness is enough. Why run? Silence sees clearer than any noise could ever claim. Lesson 13. Invisible wounds. The smile holds. The day marches on. Inside, a cut, unseen, bleeds quietly. The mind ignores, pushes through, pretends it's whole. This is invisible, a reflex cloaked as strength, but it's poison, seeping into the system's core. The body functions, but the soul limps, tethered to pain it won't name. The world hums, but the system falters, carrying a weight it refuses to see. One path buries. The wound festers, leaks into dreams, into anger, into chaos. Sleep breaks, not from the day, but from a war unspoken. Another path sees. The wound exists, but doesn't rule. The first locks in numbness, a fog that clouds every step. The second finds ground, a clarity that holds without breaking. The choice isn't the wound, it's what you do with it. What you deny controls you. The Stoics saw a wound ignored grows heavier than the pain itself. A wound seen loses its grip, passes like a storm. The trap isn't the hurt, it's the refusal to face it, to override. See it. Write one truth. What hurts? Here, now. Breath. 5 counts. Slow. The air a tether to presence. Sit with it. No hiding. No running. This isn't weakness. It's awareness. A choice to see the crack and not turn away. A system that faces its wounds begins to clear, not with force, but with stillness. The wound fades when you stop running from its edge. Pain doesn't mean truth. The scar is lighter than the lie that hides it. Lesson 14. Overriding anxiety. The chest tightens. Thoughts race. Unbidden. A shadow looming in the dark. This is anxiety. A reflex cloaked as warning, but it's a trap, drowning the mind in noise. The body tenses, not for action, but for fear of what might be, a phantom that never lands. The world hums, but the system churns, fighting ghosts it can't name. The cost is chaos. Instant, relentless. Each spiral, a theft of presence. The mind runs, not to solve, but to drown. Sleep fractures. The body lies still, but the system fights, tethered to shadows, not truth. Clarity fades, decisions waver, all for a lie that worry prepares. Anxiety doesn't protect, it consumes, a fire that burns the ground it's meant to guard. Epictetus said, Man is not disturbed by things, but by the views he takes of them. A mind that feeds fear builds its own storm, a tempest of thoughts that obscure the real. The threat dissolves when seen, not chased, when held in light, not shadow. The trap isn't the fear, it's the refusal to face it. To override, pause, breath, 5 counts, deep. The air a tether to now. Write one truth, what's real, here plain. Observe the thought, not the story it spins. This isn't control, it's disengage, a cut through the loop that binds, a system that steps back, finds ground, not with force, but with clarity. The storm passes when you stop running into its heart. You don't have to react. 85% of worries never take form beyond the mind's own stage. Lesson 15. Numbness as defense. The world hums, but the heart stays still. A wall against the tide. A memory stirs. The mind shuts it down. Cold, unyielding. This is numbness. A reflex cloaked as shield. But it's a starvation, denying the soul its truth. The body moves, but inside, nothing lands. A void where feeling should be. The world spins, but the system darkens, hiding from its own pulse. The cost is quiet, but profound. Each wall, a theft of life. Numbness blocks pain, but also presence, a fog that clouds every step. Sleep falters, not from hurt, but from a system gone dark. A machine that stopped feeling to survive. Clarity slips, connection frays, all for a lie that feeling nothing saves. The soul starves, not for lack, but for refusal to breathe. To feel is to live. The Stoics saw a mind that numbs, buries itself alive. Pain passes, numbness lingers, a shadow heavier than the hurt it hides. The trap isn't the feeling, it's the fear that drives the wall. To override, feel it. Sit, 5 minutes. No escape, no screen. Breathe. Let the weight rise, not sink. Write one sensation. What's here, now, plain. This isn't weakness, it's witness. A choice to wake the system. A system that feels, begins to clear, not with force, but with presence. The pulse returns when you stop hiding from its beat. Stillness is enough. The quiet is where the heart finds its rhythm again. Lesson 16. Breaking isolation loops. The room closes in. No voices, no light, only the hum of your own thoughts. The mind retreats, builds walls, calls it safety. This is isolation. A reflex cloaked as refuge, but it's a trap, locking the soul in silence. The heart slows, not for peace, but for fear of being seen, of being known. The world hums, but the system shrinks, hiding from its own reflection. The cost is subtle, but profound. Each withdrawal, a theft of connection. The mind hides, not to heal, but to diminish. Sleep falters, the body rests, but the system loops, replaying regret in the dark. Clarity fades, presence slips, all for a lie. That alone is enough. Isolation doesn't protect. It consumes, a fire that burns the ground it's meant to guard. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt. Our troubles lie in our thoughts." A mind that isolates builds its own cage, walls of fear, no doors to truth. The world waits, but the lock is yours, forged in the quiet moments you refuse to step beyond. To override, step back. Write one name, someone real, not gone, a thread to the world. Breathe, 5 counts, deep, the air a tether to now. Say one word, no more, no less. A crack in the wall. This isn't exposure. It's awareness, a choice to breathe beyond the cage, a system that opens, begins to live again. The walls fall when you stop building their stones. You don't owe anything. A man sits alone, but the door is only closed, not locked, waiting for a hand to turn the knob. Lesson 17. Regrets false power. The mind rewinds. A choice missed, a moment lost, a path untaken. It lingers, whispers what could have been, a siren call to pain. This is regret, a reflex cloaked as truth, but it's a chain, binding the soul to what's gone. The chest tightens, not for growth, but for punishment, a sentence written in the dark. The world hums, but the system stalls, tethered to a past it can't rewrite. What if I had spoken? Why did I stay silent? The questions burn, but they don't answer. They pull deeper into chaos, not clarity. The mind pleads, as if replaying could reshape what's done. It can't. It only steals the now. A thief that leaves no trace but absence. Each loop, a fracture in presence, a crack in the ground you stand on. Sleep breaks, not from the choice, but from the story it spins, a web that traps the self. Regret doesn't heal. It holds hostage, a captor that demands payment for crimes you didn't commit. The cost is life, moments lost to a shadow that never was. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over what's done." A mind that clings, forges its own bars, each link heavier than the fault itself. The past is a shadow, not a chain, fading when you turn from its light. To override, witness, write one truth. What's here, now, plain, unadorned. Breath. 5 counts, slow, the air a tether to presence. Release the story. Keep only the lesson, a seed for what's next. This isn't surrender, it's detachment, a cut through the web that binds. A system that sees its shadows, begins to clear, not with force, but with stillness. The past fades when you stop feeding its flame. Let go isn't weakness. The weight is only as heavy as the hand that holds it. Lesson 18. Detaching from noise. The phone pings, a flash, a pull, a siren in the dark. The mind leans, scrolls, checks, chases the next sound, the next rush. This is noise, a reflex cloaked as life, but it's chaos, drowning the soul in signals that mean nothing. The heart races, not for meaning, but for distraction, a flight from what's real. The world hums, but the system runs, tethered to a current it can't escape. You think you're connected, in control. The screen promises answers, clarity, worth, a pulse to fill the quiet. But it lies, each tap, a step deeper into fog, a maze with no exit. The mind chases, not to find, but to lose itself, a machine feeding on fragments that dissolve. Anxiety builds, not in the world, but in the system that drinks its noise, mistaking it for fuel. The trap isn't the screen, it's the hand that won't let go. The cost is quiet, but profound. Each pull, a theft of presence. Sleep falters. The body lies still, but the mind buzzes, a storm of signals that lead nowhere. Clarity frays, decisions blur, all for a lie that more brings peace. The soul starves, not for lack, but for refusal to sit with what is. Seneca said, "The mind is never quiet until it learns to choose its focus." Noise isn't life, it's a trap, a chain forged with every glance. To override, disengage, Turn it off. 5 minutes, no screen, no sound. Breathe. 5 counts, slow, the air a tether to now. Observe the urge. Let it pass like a wave across a still shore. This isn't loss, it's silence. A choice to clear the fog. A system that steps back, finds ground, not with force, but with clarity. The hum stops when you choose the quiet's weight. The void is where it clears. 90% of distractions add nothing but the weight of their own chains. The phone lies face down. No hum, no flicker. The room holds its breath. Only the air stirs, slow, deliberate. A thought rises, the urge to check, to speak, to grip something fleeting. It passes, unheeded, like a shadow slipping into dawn. The pause, it lingers, not as a fix, not as an answer, but as a space. A moment where nothing was held, where silence stood, not noise. The world hums, but the system stays still, tethered to nothing but its own quiet. What remains when the urge dissolves? The weight of what was, or the clarity of what is? The void, it's not empty, it's a clearing, a ground where truth takes root. Stillness is enough.